Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Mind Your Buffalo podcast. This is your host Ravikant, aka the Buffalo Intellectual. Welcome to a very special episode, a very sad episode that I'm calling the Savarna Single Sad Diwali special. I don't know when you will actually hear it, but at the time of recording over the next couple of days, there will be Diwali celebrations across the country of India and globally, of course. But like in many Indian cities, there'll be a very particular special kind of Diwali celebration that's gonna play out, and this Diwali celebration will be basically like a lot of Savarnas who are in their late 20s and early 30s, newly single, newly divorced people, newly coupled people, the people who will never be coupled, the people who are always single, all of them like sort of mingling together, like basically like this amorphous mix of people who meet at work friends, friends of your partner, friends of your previous workplace. You're trying to mix circles together. All of them will come together in this Diwali because nobody really wants to go home, because like home is where the parents are, where the family is, and you think you're interesting and you think you are more evolved. You don't want to go face them because like they're like all regressive and all of these different things are happening. So a very peculiar thing is gonna play out. It's like this Diwali party. You'll order biryani because you're rebellion. You don't mind a little bit of non-veg food. There will of course be daru. There'll be party. Someone will play namak. Someone will play dhoom machale, and definitely the epic will be like after like 5 drinks or 3 drinks at around 12 in the night, when the party picks up, people will play Chaiyaa Chaiyaa and start like head banging. You know the drill, right? Like all these 30-year-olds, they'll go down on their knees and they'll head bang and Chaiyaa Chaiyaa. Like that's what this is. It's a sad party. It's a sad party. And that's what I want to talk about, because the party is over, guys. The party is over. India is over. My generation, of millennials, especially Savarnas. Like I'm not Savarna, but like I'm a student of Savarna culture. I think no, like Savarnas who are in their 30s, late 20s, early 40s. This is a very strange generation. Um, got lot of like I think my friend, I know she listens to the podcast. She articulated it really well. She said we got a lot of mixed signals as a generation, which is very correct, which is a very well put statement. Because while growing up, like we were terrified of not becoming like our parents. Okay, we were terrified of that. We were terrified. Our biggest fear when we were in as teenagers or early 20 people was to become uncles and aunties. So we were like, oh, I hope I never become an uncle or an auntie or something like that. And we wanted to be perpetually young. We got into this business of mythologizing ourselves, of trying to be deep people. We always wanted to be deep and interesting people. We wanted to be like people who had like complex thoughts and who were on journeys of self discovery, who were like cosmopolitan, knew about the world, culture, cinema, music, all that bullshit. So we spent our lives trying to become these people or pretend to try and become these people. And now we are at this strange crossroad of history where our parents' generation like truly doesn't give a shit. Like they don't care how many countries you visited, what music you listen to, whatever curation of your personality that you think that makes you interesting. Your parents' generation, I promise you, doesn't give a shit. Like I love that generation. I do stand up venues, and I do these live shows, and I have this whole bit where I talk about this. Actually, those of you who've heard my live show know about this. I talk about it like how our generation was like terrified of being framed as uncles and aunties. But like, uncles and aunties are actually quite well adjusted. उनको बॉडी इमेज इशू नहीं है, उनको कोई इशू नहीं है. ऑल दीज अंकल्स लाइक तोन निकली हुई है, लाइक दिस बिग फैट डर्ड, big bald spot. He doesn't give a shit. Like he wants to sit at home, have a drink, throw back a few and listen to a guzzle. And like auntie is like also like really like she's put on a lot. She's waddling. She's really not done. Her joints are frozen. She's not eating right. Nobody gives a shit. Like they don't care how they look. They don't care how they present themselves to the world. It's actually a generation which is far more innocent and free of judgment than ours was. And here's the interesting part. The next generation, the Gen Z, those fucking monsters, they are also kind of, in a way, closer to our parent generation. Like they're very shallow. They care how they look. They've gone so far on the other side that truly they don't have a standard. Like they don't believe, they believe in appearing deep, but they have no depth. It is a truly vacuous generation. It is truly a generation in growing up in vacuum. Like these are the lost children of history, like the Gen Z, like they want to be interesting, well traveled people, or actually they don't want to be those people. We want to be those people. They want to appear as that, and they want to appear as that in a reel or in a photo or something like that. Like it's a photo is cursory, a reel is like 30 seconds, 90 seconds. That's it. That's what that identity means to them. 90 seconds. It's not their whole life. They're not curating their whole life around it. It's a look. This summer they are into arts. Next summer they will be a finance bro or like and something like that. They're truly nihilistic. They don't believe in anything, and they believe in everything. Like it's a monster generation of a collective lynch mob. And what they're lynching for varies from month to month, week to week, mood to mood. So that's what the Gen Z is. They don't give a shit. They're not committing to the role. Like our parent generation, the boomers, like in many which ways they don't understand the roles. That's the parental generation. They don't understand the roles. They don't understand these things. They don't understand why when you're married and you have children, why do I need to like really take care of my body mass index? Like they're like, I won at life. I did it. I had kids. I put them through school. They are in IIM or management, and they have companies. They're married to well settled, well secured people. That's it. My job's done. Now I'll just enjoy the money, eat what I want, drink what I want, and like get into religion, maybe nice change of pace, go on some tirath yatra, or be spiritual and just like be the uncle or the auntie who manages like my housing colony, and like that's their role. And then they'll wait for a grandkid or two. Like they don't give a shit. They don't understand what role they have to pick. They don't understand these personality archetypes and the idea of curating depth. They don't give a shit. They truly don't, right? And then you have the Gen Z who have overcommitted to this. They're like, okay, they want to be every role. They want to be intellectual, they want to be corporate, they want to be radical, they want to be rebellious, they want to be AI specialists, they want to be everything all at once. So as a result, they are everything all at once, but in 30-second reels. Like they've not committed to any roles. And we are the sandwich generation. We don't truly understand either. We have been cheated by history. And when I say we, I don't mean me, because like I am an anomaly. I am a Bahujan refugee in a Savarna culture. Okay, like I entered your world because you fucking Savarnas promised me like this was the gold standard, right? Because I was dumb, and like I learned your language, I learned your culture, I became your culture, I became a student of your culture, I became a scholar of your culture. And then I realized, oh fuck, you guys don't know shit. Because Savarna millennials, people in their late 20s or 30s and early 40s, you guys are truly cosmically lost, dumb children. Okay, that's what you are. You don't have the liberating, uh, dismissive worldview, lack of self awareness that your parents had, and you don't have the nihilism, the non commitment while being overcommitted. It's a combination of both that Gen Z has. They are non-committed to everything but over-committed to everything simultaneously. कोई contradiction नहीं है, right? And we are the ones who took things way too seriously. Okay, so we don't know where to be. अब बोला बचपन में like हमको teenage years में कि किताब पढ़ो, books are like interesting. So everybody wanted to curate a personality of being books, like travel the world. Travel is such a millennial savarna fantasy. My God, you look at Gen Z, they don't give a shit. Like I'm on these dating apps and you can see all the people in their 30s, like they're still putting this on Hinge. This year, I really want to travel. Like, what the fuck is it that you want to see? There is nothing left to see. Okay, it's 2024. Why is this image of a person who travels abroad, and abroad is always Europe or USA or Singapore or some version of an affluent country? Why is that your idea of presenting yourself as an interesting person to other people who may want to date you, fuck you, whatever, right? But this is such a strong stereotype. It still goes on. It's like this was relevant 15 years ago and nobody told you that this image is not relevant anymore, and you don't have the imagination to curate a different imagination. That's the Savarna millennial crisis in a nutshell. तुमको पता ही नहीं अभी क्या करना अपने जिंदगी के साथ. It's like the AIB folks, all these Tanmay Bhatt and all. They peaked around 2015, 2016. They peaked, Savarna millennial elite urban English speaking culture peaked at 2015, 2016. All these Ayan Mukherjee and the AIBs and Tanmay Bhatt and BuzzFeed and like Rega Jha and Rega is, I would like to, we text sometimes, but like she's also part of this. If she heard this, she'd probably agree, right? All of these people, like the Savarna culture kind of peaked around that time, and like all of this period. It just kind of has been downhill. It's like now you have no imagination where to go. And by the way, culture has moved on from you. Nobody gives a shit about you anymore. Like the most successful movies are bloody RRR and Bahubali and KKK and PPP and Kalki and God knows what, right? Like Surya one, Rohit Shetty has a cop universe. There is a cop universe where there is Deepika Padukone and Akshay. Like he's made a cop universe and it's successful enough to spawn itself. It gave birth to itself. Culture has moved past you. Ganji Chudel is a YouTuber phenomenon. Like these animated ghost stories with a green-skinned bald Chudel, is more famous than a lot of these Savarna influencers and comedians. Like you can't fill up 30-seater venues after doing stand-up comedy for 15 years. Do maro, okay? Like just stop doing this. Maybe this is not your gig. Maybe you're in the wrong platform. Maybe you're a great novelist and you don't know it. I doubt it, but maybe that's your gig. Maybe you should learn what that blockchain thing is. Get over this like bum dream of yours, this absolute like asinine moronic dream of yours that you're funny, because you're not. After 10 years of trying, you can't fill 50 people in a room who are willing to pay like a token amount of money to come watch you for an hour. So it's this kind of culture which peaked around 2015, 2016. Like, if you could fill 50 people or you could get like 50,000 views on your YouTube video, Netflix or Amazon or one of these people would have thrown you a special. Like you guys were like having parties and hanging out with big Bollywood stars and stuff like that. Like वो चला गया time, तुम्हारा peak हो गया, and it's like you have no imagination beyond that. And now suddenly you're in your late 30s. I am describing this like very specific Bombay cultural comic artsy elite, but this applies to advertising people, this advice applies to techie people, this applies to anybody who did an MBA engineering in India and started working in Gurgaon, Bangalore, Bombay and have been in that circle for the last 10-15 years. तुम्हारी जिंदगी तुम्हारा थोड़ा कट गया है, तो रियलाइज करो तुम इंटरेस्टिंग नहीं हो, तुम डीप नहीं हो. जो भी तुम ऐसे लाइक यू विल सब्सक्राइब टू दीज book reading clubs or these companies which will send you a hamper every month with like a bath salt and a kidlit and like some organically sourced peanut butter hamper baskets. Like none of this is interesting. You are not interesting for subscribing to this junk. And the savarnas millennials वो भी तुम्हारे जैसे ही हैं, who are actually running this as a quote unquote business, वो भी uninteresting है. People like when I was younger, like in 2010 11, when I was still I think like trying to I had just quit advertising. I was into MBA, not MBA. I just quit advertising and just gone for my PhD. Like there were all these savarnas, they were like I want to go to Goa, I want to open a cafe. इनका एक fantasy था, लोगों ने कर लिया है. People did do that. Like there's a sizable chunk. If you go to Goa, there's a sizable chunk of people who worked for a few years in Bombay, Shombay or whatever. Then they quit their jobs and they went to Goa और इन्होंने कैफे खोल भी लिया, चला भी लिया, अपना बुक स्टोर, एक organic cycling shack, whatever, homestay, fantasy, जो भी था तुम्हारा, पहाड़ में जाके करना है, बीच में जाके करना है, पौंडीचेरी में ऑरोविल में कलेक्टिव में रहना है, जो भी तुम्हारा फैंटेसी था तुमने कर लिया, हो गया वो. तुम पहले एस्पायर करते थे, फिर तुम चले गए, फिर तुमने कर लिया, अब तुम you're on the other side of fate and you're still just 38 years old and your life is just as unfulfilling. और अभी तुम्हारे पास कुछ नहीं बचा है, कुछ नहीं बचा है, तुम बोरिंग के बोरिंग ही हो, तुम्हारे आसपास भी सब बोरिंग है, and the whole culture has sort of collapsed, but you don't have any new imagination how to address this, so you go back to the only cliches you know. You're still kind of talking about कि I want to travel, वही तुम late 90s सड़ा हुआ, early 2000 सड़ा हुआ nostalgia लेके तुम नाच रहे हो. बड़े शाहरुख खान को भी तुम भगवान मान रहे हो, तुम भूल गए हो, you forgotten, you used to hate Shahrukh Khan. I've made this point in some of the earlier episodes. Like Savarna millennials, like Gen Z, I don't even give a shit. You were not born when Shahrukh Khan was a phenomenon. We grew up with Shahrukh Khan. We know what Shahrukh Khan was. We know what the phenomenon. Like I was a kid, like when Kuch Kuch Hota Hai came, when Dil To Pagal Hai came, when Mohabbatein came, like I was passionate. That time we still had single screen theaters. I stood in line to buy advance tickets with my friends from 6 a.m. in the morning to buy tickets for Mohabbatein. Like we were from that era. Like it sounds like very prehistory, but it's not that far ago. So we grew up with that. Gen Z, sorry, you were not conceived. Your parents were fucking teenagers or in college at that point in time. You born much, like actually not much later, but around the time. Your parents conceived you around that time. But basically, you were pooping in diapers. You grew up with Shah Rukh Khan of 2010. Right? This is what I mean about Gen Z. Like Gen Z will be like, oh, daddy SRK. Like they don't mean a thing. These dead-eyed monsters, they will say this, they will put this on their thing. उनको कुछ मतलब नहीं है. वो उतना ही पैशन से बोलेंगे और तुमको लगेगा कि साला तुम शाहरुख के फैन नहीं हो. वो यही बच्चा यही शाहरुख के फैन है, तुम नहीं हो. Like इतना पैशन से बोल के और अगले मिनट में वो भूल भी जाएंगे. Like they'll forget also, like what Shahrukh. tomorrow if Shahrukh Khan takes a selfie with Modi, फिर यही लोग आके जो आज डैडी शाहरुख बोल रहे हैं कल बोलेंगे fuck Shahrukh. They will come and attack you like you, how dare you fan, and you will be like, wait, I kind of like I'm not happy with Shahrukh's position on these things, but like I kind of grew up. It's like a nostalgia thing. Like, how dare you have fucking nostalgia? You fucking 20-year-old, what do you know about life? तुम्हारा लाइफ के साथ दैट्स व्हाट आई मीन. तुम्हारा तजुर्बा क्या है, तुम्हारा एक्सपीरियंस क्या है? नहीं, वो मतलब ही नहीं है. तुम ऑल और नथिंग आज एकदम कट्टर बोल रहे हो, ऑल और नथिंग, और अगले दिन तुम जाके लिंक्डइन में बोलोगे आई एम सो प्लीज टू हैव डन दिस एआई सर्टिफिकेशन प्रोग्राम एंड आई होप आई लर्न द इंपॉर्टेंस ऑफ टीम बिल्डिंग एंड नॉनसेंसिकल है ये जनरेशन, राइट? तो जेनजी की मैं बात ही नहीं कर रहा, मैं मिलेनियल्स की बात कर रहा हूँ. लाइक you guys, the elite savarna English speaking urban millennial, in early 2000s you hated Shah Rukh Khan. You found Shah Rukh Khan tacky. You wanted to watch only English movies and only listen to English music. Shah Rukh was not on your radar. And then Shah Rukh went through a decline around 2010. He went through a decline, and there was this whole period where he was booed out of Wankhede. There were all these rumors about him that he had some I'm not liable for whatever this, but there was a rumor that Shah Rukh had a fling with Priyanka Chopra or something like that, and then Shah Rukh had they had a new baby, Abram or whatever. And Shah Rukh, these are rumors. These were rumors. Don't come at me. I'm not liable. I'm just saying these are rumors. There are plenty of Google sources. You can Google shit if you want to know more. I don't know whether this happened or not, but there was the fact that people were talking about it, rightly or wrongly. This was going on in the air, and then there was this very public fact where Shah Rukh was booed out of the Wankhede. He was banned for a year or so, I think, off the top of my head. I don't remember the details. He was in disgrace. Shah Rukh was disgraced. Okay? And then he was making these films which nobody wanted to watch. Okay? Like Zero and Harry Met Sejal and Dilwale, where they brought back Kajol out of retirement. That monster, that dinosaur. And nothing truly worked actually. Nobody gave a shit. And then he kind of went away for a while because he was like, okay, nothing's working. I have enough money. Fuck it. I'll just sit in my house and I'll be Shah Rukh Khan. And somewhere along the line, Sharanya Bhattacharya, I think, or Chatterjee, Sharanya Bhattacharya, I think, wrote this book Seeking Shah Rukh Khan, which, by the way, has nothing to do with Shah Rukh Khan. It's a book about urban women loneliness, and they're theorizing about their ideal man. And somehow, I've read the book. I don't mean to shit on her book. It's called Desperately Seeking Shah Rukh Khan. Very successful book. More power to her. I hope to get her on a podcast at some point. Good writer. She wrote another piece about uncles, and that I was very fascinated. She's an urban millennial, late 30s, early 40s woman who kind of was interviewing a lot of uncles and ended up sort of by her own article, ended up sort of getting involved or dating an uncle. Uncle meaning above 50, 55-year-old, these really elite older generation men. I found that very fascinating as a person. I would love to interview her at some point. So Sharanya, if you're hearing this, please do, consider this as a request. We are mutuals on, I think, Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, she wrote that book, and the book was about how urban women loneliness, and she looks at all these women across cross sections of socio-income brackets and religion and all of that and geography, and how they're going through this life, and there is something is missing, kuch kami hai. And how Shah Rukh Khan becomes an idealized person in their imagination. So, Desperately Seeking Shah Rukh Khan is not a book about Shah Rukh Khan. It's a book about women and longing and loneliness. Is how I inferred. But somehow that book kind of ended up positioning Shah Rukh Khan as like this great mard, like that everybody must. So then again the Gen Z rushed in, like these fucking monsters who don't believe in anything, who truly didn't give a shit. Now suddenly they're like Daddy Shah Rukh and all of that. And then a lot of the millennials who used to fucking hate Shah Rukh Khan in early 2000s and they thought him tacky, now they're like, head bobbing to fucking Dil Se. You know what? I'm old enough to remember when Dil Se released. And I am old enough to remember that 10 years after Dil Se released. None of you fucking liked that movie. None of you liked the songs. You would never play it. You were all about that, Jim Morrison and Pink Floyd. That's who you were. अभी साला 40 साल का उम्र में आके तुम घर पे अकेले हो, तुम्हारा कोई दिवाली प्लान नहीं है, फैमिली के पास तुम जा नहीं सकते, यू आर रिसेंटली डिवोर्स्ड और रिसेंटली सिंगल और never been married and always been single or whatever it is, and you're hanging out with your fucking colleagues and like sort of like colleagues, friends, and you're in that zone. अभी साला तुम लोग आके ये दिल से छैया छैया को तुम ऐसे एक रिलीजन बना रहे हो, शर्म नहीं आती? Like isn't there like any fucking honesty like left? Like थोड़ा तुमको खुद को cringe नहीं हो रहा है? You're like 38 years old. You are like, falling on your knees and bobbing your head. Like 20-year-olds are doing it. 20-year-olds, like I've said, this Gen Z has no iman. उनका कोई ईमान नहीं है. वो अभी like, वो अभी ऐसे सारे इश्क की मिला चाहिया चाहिया. They'll head bang and 5 minutes later they'll go on LinkedIn and they will say like, sustainability is really important for the planet. Therefore, I'm grateful for doing this Coursera course and so on. उनका कोई ईमान नहीं है. वो बिक गई है जनरेशन. वो absolutely बिक गई है. Like you have no idea. Like one of the true joys, like when I go to sleep at night and like I can't sleep, and like every morning when I open my eyes, there are very few reasons why I want to get out of bed, because like there's truly nothing out there. One of the few things that make me get out of bed is the prospect कि साला Gen Z भी बूढ़ा होगा. Gen Z is also going to grow old. जो लोग आज अभी ये अशोका जिंदल फ्लेम वेम के जो स्टूडेंट्स हैं, you will also hit the 30s. I can't fucking wait for that, because how sweet. This is all I ask from God, and I'm not a believer. I'm an atheist. I don't believe in God. But if there is a God or whatever or anything, like please universe or the divine or the paranormal or whoever, just keep me alive. I want to see this generation hit 30-35, because my God, they are going to either go full swing into uncle antidom, or they will have a generational existential crisis which will make us look in comparison like angels. There is no in between. It's one of the sweetest things that will happen, which I'm coming. But that's truly what we are. Like, at this current moment in time, the Indian growth stories, the Indian social stories has kind of lost steam. I think not since the 1960s, late 1960s, we've been in that position. 70s and 80s in India is a very difficult time. 90s is a reset. 2000s is when a new narrative comes of like this new India and all that. So 2000 still about 2014-15, that narrative continues. Modi carries it for another few years. But 2017-18 से थोड़ा ना ये ढीला पड़ने लगा. I think demonetization was like the first major crack in this edifice. And by 2024, we are almost at the end of it, 2024, 2025, the Indian dream is truly dead. Like there is, like nobody believes that, we are going to be a superpower. When we were younger, when I was younger, when I was in MBA 2008, around that time, when I was working in the industry, 2009, 10, even when I was doing my PhD, 2011, 12, 13, people genuinely believed that we would become a superpower. मेरे को 2012-13 तक समझ में आ गया था. By 2012-13, I remember during my PhD days, I used to keep telling my friends like it's over, it's gone. I used to be very cynical. They used to be like, oh, you just like being a contrarian. But I was like, no, I'm not being a contrarian. I don't want to just disagree. I just don't see it anymore. But 2008 9 tak we used to see it. There was a very clear idea ki sorry, was lighting up a cigarette. For I'm saying that for the audio only audiences. So like 2008 9, you actually felt, if you were a young person, you were in college, you were in engineering, B school, whatever, you felt like, yeah, we are coming up, because there were all these editorials. 21st century is the century of China and India. Asia will rise, Europe will fade, and USA will fade, and China is the dragon, India is the elephant, and this is the thing. We truly bought that shit. And 2024, like from 2008 2010, so like 14-15 years later, none of us believe that is happening. Nobody who was young in 2008 9 in college believing that, yeah, India is growing to become a serious contender, a serious economy, we're going to become a developed nation. Nobody in 2024 believes that. We've lost that as a national dream. Nothing is there to look forward. In fact, most people my age, in their 30s, look at the future with this sort of anxiety, like, oh, this is not good, what's coming is not good. We don't look at the future with like this optimism and enthusiasm like we used to do when we were younger. We are all sort of in trepidation and anxiety. But like, this is also, savarnas are also a generation of denial. So nobody is going to admit it. Nobody's going to admit that there is a problem. So they're going to keep recycling the same cliches and same hacks. Same, let's travel, let's do this, let's go to a cafe, let's do a house party, हम ऐसे वाइन पियेंगे, चीज खाएंगे. बट लाइक अभी किसी चीज में मजा नहीं है. मजा जा चुका है, रस जा चुका है. The juice has been squeezed. There is nothing left. You're holding a husk of a life in your hand, and that husk of a life has no social currency with either the generation older than you or the younger than you. It's gone. It's purely dread and anxiety. Embrace it. My generation is in denial. We were supposed to change India and transform India. Boy, did we fail at that task. We couldn't even find love properly. We couldn't even find family properly. We couldn't even find our neighborhood and community and commonwealth and nationhood properly. We fucked up. We shat in bed. Now nothing is left. All there is left to do is just like, on Diwali, put up like fairy lights in your house, get fucking drunk, eat biryani, and like meet with like some 10 other similar sad strangers, and like, try to hold on to that memory of Diwali or Holi or whatever, like these savarna brahminical festivals, because savarnas have just that. Uske aage imagination nahi hai. Like, I was in Vidarbha for a year, and in Wardha and Nagpur, like if you go there during Buddh Jayanti or Baba Sahib Jayanti, like there is actual community joy. Like truly, you can't imagine if you're in Nagpur, in Indora, on Baba Sahib Jayanti, like the whole community comes out and the families come out. And it's not like families coming out, like the daughter is going out with her friends, the mother is going out with her friends, father is with his friends, the son is with his friends. And you might see the family on the road, like everybody's doing their own thing. It's such a celebration, it's such spontaneous joy. I don't think Savarnas have experienced anything like that, because there is nothing in your culture which is equivalent of that. Like you can say Ganpati, Durga Puja. I mean, I've been in Durga Puja all my life. Like there are elements which are replicable. But you know what the problem is? There is a joy you felt as a kid. Like if you're in your 30s, like when you were a kid in the late 90s, early 2000s, when all of this was not so corporatized, where there was a sense of community, you could go your area, pada, mohalla, gully, people were there, you met everybody, everybody dressed, there was a sort of an innocence, you felt full, you felt wholesome, and you're trying to hold on to that feeling so hard. But now, bloody Ganpati and Durga Puja and everything is like brought to you by Coca-Cola, and Vodafone wishes you a happy this, and like everything is a corporatized thing, and there are like offers, and there are stalls, and there is branding, and and everybody has like buying new clothes for Diwali used to be like a family thing. Then it became like Amazon has a sale now, and you must do this. And like Urban Clap is or Urban Company is offering you Diwali discount cleaning, and it became just such a thing that everything has now just become a thing. Everything is a thing. Okay, it's a checklist of a box, it's a campaign, it's a clever line, it's a cheeky ad, it's an ad campaign. You're living in not even a movie, you're living inside an ad. An ad is 30 seconds long, where 25 seconds there's a storytelling, and last 5 seconds is a product shot which is in your face. And that's what all of this has been reduced to, which is why you don't feel any joy. The sad singles Diwali party that you're having, you've had versions of this. Like you had it, like the one that you remember, that's the thing. You'll remember the great one. Okay, and I remember a great one. I had this friend of mine, we don't talk anymore, but like we had this pact that like we would do Diwali parties with each other. And like I'd gone over to her house in Bangalore, and like there were some other people who had not gone home, and we just like bought a lot of alcohol, and everybody came in, there was music, there was dancing. It was not good, it was not fun, there were issues with it, it was like a dumb thing. But that's a very good memory of mine, because I was still young, and we were young, and all of these people were doing things. Now uh, there are versions of that. I've had good New Year parties. Like when I was doing PhD, like there was this one year where me and my friends from Calcutta like had this. I don't even remember whose house it was, because it was a very odd house. It had like a loft thing outside, and there was a German guy there who was like a friend of one of my friends. And that's the first time I came to know about the concept of mulled wine. He was cooking mulled wine. Yes, Christmas, New Year's. Calcutta doesn't get very cold, but like at 12 in the night, it was a little chilly. It was a little nippy in the air, and he made this hot mulled wine, and like with all these fruits and things in it, and like he kind of gave it to each one of us, and we all had a sip. And we like I was dating somebody at that time. I was there with them, and like there were all these young couples, there was guitar music, it felt very wholesome. And like I think 1 or 2 years later, I was in Delhi, and I did like one of those parties. That time I was really struggling economically. I was very poor, but I threw this one party, and like my the same person, like my ex, she was there, and like we kind of did this thing. We also again made mulled wine. Delhi winter, it was very cold. A lot of different people came. We made some food. There was nice party. There was nice conversation. I have such wholesome memories of that. Now that party happened. Every party since then is an attempt to recreate that feeling. That feeling happened at that point in time. Now that's not gonna come back again, because when we found it, like I'm sure you have your own version listening to this. Like there was this one or a few parties like that which were really good. like you have your own version of that. You were at a different point in your life, but like that was so good. Now you keep recreating this, and so many versions of that have happened, and nothing has managed to hit that sweet spot because nobody is like that person anymore. That was a moment in time, and that time has gone, and that moment is gone, and the moment that you're in where only nihilism is possible. Therefore, the only people who are truly kind of not having an existential meltdown and living in denial and trying to be like, trying to like grin and say, yeah, having fun, but like crying inside and not and having this imposter anxiety. The only people who don't have that is your parent generation, the boomers, and the Gen Z, because they truly don't believe it. The Gen Z has like this great lynch mob energy, uh, they're so ready to like take violence. Like recently, I just last week this happened. Um, I didn't think I would talk about it, but like since it's come up, like Professor Kancha Ilaiah wrote this new book called Shudra Rebellion. And my equation with him is very interesting because I don't know him actually. I don't know him, and he had written his previous book. I think it was called Shudra Vision for the Future or something like that. And I read it, and I was so disappointed because his original, like a lot of us in the Ambedkarite anti-caste like space, coming from a marginalized caste background, when we had read Why I'm Not a Hindu, which remains one of an iconic book, I give it in my readings. He's an icon for us. So when he wrote this book on Shudra Vision in 2020, I think I was like very disappointed, and like I wrote like a scathing review of it. Like I like critiqued the book left, right, and center, and I tore it apart. And it got published in the Caravan. It was like a 5,000-6,000 word thing, and I was like, shit. I just like shot one of my heroes in the face. Like he just wrote this book, and I kind of shat on it, and this is gonna be terrible. And to my surprise, he reached out. Then I had no contact with him. He reached out through his team saying that he actually really liked my critique. I think in his head, he was just so happy that somebody coming from like an OBC background is, critiquing his book in such articulate, critical terms, and not just being sycophantic or whatever. And I kind of admire that because I've said this before, like, in my 9-10 years in academia, I've never seen, like, academia in India is very Brahminical. India and Indian academics have brought. I've never seen a Savarna academic do this, that you critique them and, like, you say anything less than, oh, like, I orgasmed while reading your book. Savarna academics will take that as a personal insult. And here is, like, this great, like, sort of Dalit Bahujan, he likes to use the word Shudra. Great Shudra academic, great Shudra intellectual, the writer of Buffalo nationalism, and I trashed him, and he's fine with it. And my name of my handle comes Buffalo intellectual, sort of comes from his idea of Buffalo nationalism, and also because I just like buffaloes and all of that. So he reached out to me and he applauded me, and so now he's written a new book, and he just calls me out of the blue one day and he says, hey, Ravikant, I've written this book. I'm going to launch it in Hyderabad. You're in Hyderabad. You're going to come and speak on it and be as critical as you want. I want you to be critical. I don't want you to come and say nice things. And I thought that was very interesting. So I went there to the book launch, and I said, like, I thought the book had some merits, like, there were. I tried to say some nice things, but I also was very sharp in my critique in terms of what the book was problematic about. He's trying to build a Shudra identity as a, like, between the Brahmin and the Dalit axis. He's trying to build a Shudra identity, but into that Shudra identity, he's trying to fold in groups like Jats and Reddis, who are landed agrarians, and he's trying to build agriculturism as a philosophy. It's a whole thing. It's a whole thing. I don't want to get into that. So I kind of critiqued all of that, and I kind of said that, look, if you're going to talk about how Shudras have been sort of at the receiving end of Brahminical violence, you also have to talk about the Shudra violence upon Dalits and Adivasis, or upon SCs and STs, because you can't just talk about the violence that is coming on to you, you also have to talk about the violence that you are giving other people, because it's a graded inequality. So I kind of made that point. It's a point why, it's the reason why a lot of OBC quote unquote intellectuals don't like me. OBC organizations don't like me, actually, because they'll be like, we'll call him and he'll start saying OBCs also do violence, which they do. Like landed agrarian OBC communities, some 40-50 castes which are politically dominant, agrarian dominant, do a lot of violence, and I will always talk about it, because even my own father's community, the Gujars, my mom's Dalit, but my father's community, Gujars, like they have a little bit of land and dominance in parts of northern Rajasthan and Delhi NCR. In those regions, like they have some clout, and like you have these like people like this Vinamra Kasana who runs Dost Cast, like is this right wing podcast, like this idiot, my god, like he thinks he'll be bare biceps. Bhai, you're not Khatri, you're Gujar. You'll never forget that. So he's like hosting all of these right wingers and thinks that like he'll become the next. Like the fact that these people never learn is fascinating to me. But any which ways, but outside of the NCR and North Rajasthan belt, Gujars are also like a very vulnerable community in Uttarakhand, in Himachal, in Jammu Kashmir, in parts of Punjab where I am from. I'm on the Himachal Punjab border. That's where my family actually comes from. So for a nomadic community, location matters a lot, right? But I am very keenly aware, like the Delhi NCR Gujars will not even blend with someone like from my kind of clan. But like I'm very kind of aware of these contradictions. So I kind of critiqued his book, and I kind of said that, look, it's not so simplistic. You can't promote agriculturism in that way. And if you are going to bring this agriculturist identity about like Shudras, and if you are going to bring in Jats and all that, like we live under, even in places where we are so supposed to be dominant in northern Rajasthan and like NCR, we live under the shadow of Jats, okay? And the fear of Jats, actually, because they have a lot of power in that sense. So you can't just talk about it like that. So I said a lot of those things, and he didn't disagree with me. He didn't like disengage with me, and I came home feeling like, okay, I did something well. And the next morning, like he sort of, just the next morning, like this event happens on a Tuesday, and on Wednesday there is an article he has put out on in Telugu, making like a very, very problematic assessment reading of the Israel-Palestine conflict, which had nothing to do with his book. He's making some argument that like Israel women and Dalit Shudra women work in the field, so that's why they are progressing that much faster, and Palestine is where it is. And it's such a absolutely ghastly misreading of the situation. Like I don't even know how to respond to it. Like, should I laugh? Should I be angry? What does one say to that? Like, this was not needed. He didn't need to go off on this topic, but he did. God only knows why. Like I said, I don't know him beyond a point. So I was like, fuck it then. Like, what do I say? Like, some people had seen my being at that event, and then they started messaging me saying, hey, look, this is what Chaiyaa Chaiyaa is saying. And I'm like, well, it's really problematic. I don't know what to say. Like, what am I supposed to say? And then like the whole point of this whole digression was like Gen Z monsters. Like these very 20-year-olds are coming and saying like, like, why aren't you saying anything? What do you want me to say? You have to say something. I thought you stood for all oppressed people. I don't stand up for myself. What do you mean oppressed people? Who am I standing up for? Show me one place where I said I stand up for other people. Buddy, you have no idea how precarious my life is and my career is. Go listen to this podcast. I only release episodes where I'm saying like my life is a dump, okay? You have no idea how precarious I am. Like I have nothing. If like this is ridiculous. They're like, why aren't you saying anything? And I'm like, look, people should be allowed, especially marginalized people, should be allowed to say what they want, when they want, how they want. You can't, no, Gen Z, and I'm looking at the profile, you're 20 years old. तुम्हें इतना शौक है रेवोल्यूशन का, जाके अपने पापा को बोलो. You are coming online. Actually, the problem is, like, you're coming online. Every day I do savarna, savarna, savarna. You don't like it. Right? The day you get like a point on me or whoever, you will come and attack. Now you are like coming and saying, why aren't you saying anything? Why should I say anything here? तुम दोगे मेरे को नौकरी. You will come and say that in my DM. Then this is Diwali weekend. You will wear ethnic wear and sherwani and take picture with your fascist father. अपने father को बोलो ना जाके. Check his wealth portfolio which pays for your 4 BHK bungalow in bloody Andheri or Gurgaon or wherever, which is a 3 crore property. जिस घर में रह रहे हो, 2 SUV है, 3 करोड़ का घर है, तुम जिंदल में पढ़ते हो या अशोका में पढ़ते हो या somewhere you are reading, studying, right? You will go abroad, you have all of these fantasies. You are coming and haranguing me and people like me about taking stands on Palestine. My position on Palestine is very clear. Like, what Israel is doing is ghastly. What do I do? Like, what is the correct tone to talk about it? Tell me, like, do I put 15 stories? You put 15 stories, so you're more legitimate. I didn't say you put any stories on Kashmir. You can't put any stories on Kashmir because that will actually have material repercussions on your life. Go check your father, no? Like, check what his financial portfolio is, which mutual fund is he invested in, what is his stock portfolio, what is your mother's stock portfolio. Check that. If they're in business, if they're in a company, look at the political economy of your own family's wealth and then talk to them. One Jat dude is like texting me, what are you doing? Like, bloody, why are you talking to me? You talk about Mirchpur in Haryana, no? You're Jats. तुम मुझे क्या बोल रहे हो? मेरा क्या पोजीशन है? And who am I यार? I am nobody. तुमको लगता है ऐसा, like, you listen to my podcast or whatever, you're listening to the video, तुमको ऐसा, you think I am some pretty famous person. I have nothing actually. Literally I have nothing. Like, you're like, oh, you're selling out shows. There are 30 people sitting in the shows. 30 means sell out. I'm not selling out 300 seats. I'm not selling out 3,000 seats. The day I do, then you tell me somebody, then I'll have people to hire to deal with people like you. I have nothing. I have no job security. I'm soft blacklisted from half of the educational institution. तुम मेरे को क्या बोल रहे हो? तुम बोल रहे हो Gen Z. शर्म नहीं आती तुमको? ठीक है, तुम मेरा को बोल रहे हो. So, like, anyways, like, I just went into a completely different digression. My point is, like, this Gen Z have, like, they'll say whatever. They have that lynch mob energy. They will come and they will be like, how dare you're not saying anything, and then tomorrow morning they will go, like I said, on LinkedIn and be like, I'm so happy that, like, I did this machine learning course on EduX and, like, and I learned so much from it. कोई ईमान नहीं है किसी का, कुछ बचा नहीं है. And here's the part, I'm not even mad at this, I'm not even angry at this, because nothing is left. This is what the discourse is now. दुनिया अभी इधर है. This is where the world is. This is where the discourse is. Everything is over. There is no hope, there is no nothing, there is no joy, nothing is left to delight you anymore. There is no discovery, there is no surprise, there is only just pure cynical, this moment, this particular point, next moment, who gives a shit? We are in the Armageddon, we are in the apocalypse, the end of days is here. The play is over, the curtains have fallen, but you're still fucking dancing. The audience has left, nobody cares. You're still on stage dancing like it fucking matters. It doesn't matter. So stop छैया छैया. रहम कर लो उस गाने के ऊपर, रहम कर लो, खुदा से डरो, कुछ तो सोच लो जिंदगी के बारे में. तुम्हारी इंस्टाग्राम स्टोरी से, तुम्हारे ट्विटर से किसी को कुछ बाप के जन्म में फर्क नहीं पड़ता है. तुम बोरिंग थे, तुम बोरिंग हो, तुम बोरिंग रहोगे. और ये मैं बोल रहा हूं जो जन्म से बोरिंग है, वन डायमेंशनल है, और मेरे को ये मालूम है. एंड आई हैव एम्ब्रेस्ड दिस फैक्ट. एम्ब्रेस द मीडियोक्रिटी, एम्ब्रेस द अंकलडम, एम्ब्रेस that mediocrity. It's liberating. Stop this nonsense that you're curating some interesting, you're not on a journey. There is no eat pray love. You're truly mediocre, and you've wasted your life away. And you're right now, we are in the middle of a time era where it fools nobody. तुम्हारे पार्टी में जो 10 लोग आए हैं वो भी नहीं फूल हो रहे हैं, तुम भी उनको फूल नहीं कर पा रहे. सब नंगे हैं. एवरीबडी सीइंग ईच अदर लाइक गॉड. एवरीबडी वांट्स टू बी इन अ बेटर प्लेस. एवरीबडी इज कॉम्प्रोमाइजिंग. एंड you're taking selfies in ethnic wear and thinking God knows what. How many hundreds of times have you taken this picture, and thousands of times have you posted it? And what joy and delight has it brought to you in your life? What meaningful difference has it brought to your life? And if it hasn't, why do you continue to keep doing it? What happens if you don't do it? Are you ready for that answer? Think about it. Have a nice Diwali. Bye bye. Hey, you finished the whole episode. Well done. I can't believe you can tolerate my voice for so long. But in case you liked what you heard, you might consider also joining for the exclusive episode that I do for my paying subscribers, because that show gets into slightly edgier topics and I don't really want to put it out in the public domain. It's available on the Patreon as well as on YouTube through the join option. And in case you don't want to drop extra money, I completely understand. Please keep listening to my regular show. I'm grateful as ever. There's a buy me a coffee link in case you want to drop some love. Otherwise, just have a nice day. Stay being awesome. Bye bye.